G'day Earthlings, Dr. Rank here, and welcome to Gaming Legends, the show that will never do Pokemon or Crash of the Titans episodes. So far, we've managed to do a new Spyro video every single year, and the Zodiac calendar just so happens to be perfectly aligned. Can you beat Spyro Year of the Dragon without charging? Once again, we're playing the Spyro Reignited Trilogy release, and our main goal is to avoid pressing the charge button. This applies not only to Spyro's charge attack, but also to any other action that uses the charge button, no matter how chargy an outside observer might think it looks. Additionally, to keep the run consistent with the prior videos, only features available within Spyro 3 itself are allowed, so no using Gulp to get infinite flight. And finally, all non-cosmetic cheat codes are banned, but Sunnies are both fair game and encouraged. The run is complete when we deal the final blow to the sorceress. Without further ado, let the run begin. The first homeworld, Sunrise Spring, is mostly pretty simple. In the prior games, we weren't able to destroy iron jars with Spyro's Flame Breath, and that remains true in Spyro 3. But unlike the prior games, the Flame Breath isn't our only option. In Spyro 2, Moneybags taught Spyro a move called the Head Bash, which essentially allowed him to ground pound. And unlike a certain other PS1 platforming mascot, Spyro managed to retain that knowledge between games. Anything the charge can do, the Head Bash can also do, from breaking iron jars to defeating armored enemies to diving underwater. Though we can't Head Bash while we're already underwater, so these jars remain indestructible. The first thing I did in the run was farm gems so I could unlock Sheila's Alp. Some Dragon Eggs require the use of specific playable characters, who are only unlocked after finishing their respective tutorial levels. Sheila the Kangaroo is the easiest of these characters. The charge button makes her do a kick, which can also be performed with the attack button. But since it is technically an action performed with the charge button, I decided to go without it as a bonus challenge. Thankfully, Sheila has her own version of the Head Bash that's equally effective, letting us 100% clear both Sheila's Alp and Sunny Villa. Cloud Spires has one egg held by an egg thief who are notorious for their speed, something that a chargeless Spyro sorely lacks. Thankfully, this area also contains a Superfly power-up, which makes that egg trivial. I wasn't able to 100% this level though, as I couldn't kill this Rhinoc on the moving platform. A colorblind programmer at Toys for Bob decided to disable the Head Bash while above this platform, so I couldn't penetrate its armor. Molten Crater's main path is easy, but it has two sub-areas that are less so. One of them isn't accessible until we unlock Sergeant Bird, and the other has two egg thieves running around a supercharge track. You can't supercharge without charging, and we simply cannot keep pace with these guys. Mushroom Speedway is much easier though, as none of the objectives require any charging by design. We do miss out on the turbo boost in Hunter's mission, but we don't really need it. Unfortunately, Seashell Shore is where the chargeless run comes to an end. We start the level underwater in an enclosed area, and the only way out is to break through this wooden barricade. Neither Spyro's Flame Breath nor his Head Bash are available underwater, so we're incapable of destroying it. I tried using the Rhinoc's torpedoes to break it, but they just phased right through. Sure would be nice if Spyro could phase through solid matter, but Toys for Bob aren't that lazy. And to make matters worse, skipping the level altogether is not a valid option. Each level has a primary objective that, when completed, will both give you an egg and unlock the exit portal, allowing the NPC that gave you the egg to travel back to the home world. Since these eggs function identically to the talismans from Spyro 2, we'll refer to them as talisman eggs. In order to unlock the boss fight, and thus the next homeworld, we must collect all 5 talisman eggs in the current homeworld, including the one from Seashell Shore. Without that specific egg, the balloon leading to Buzz's dungeon and Midday Gardens isn't interactable. Even if we allowed the infinite flight glitch that relies on a finished Spyro 2 save file, flying out of bounds wouldn't help us at all. The Spyro 3 chargeless run has officially failed. But that begs the question, how many charges do you need? We're turning this into a minimalist run. Since the charge relies so heavily on holding the button down for a potentially infinite amount of time, I defined a single charge as pressing the charge button and causing a single object to react. For example, if we charge through 3 iron jars in one go, it still counts as 3 unique charges. In this case, we use 1 charge to destroy the wooden barricade, 1 charge to destroy another barricade at the end of the level, and finally 1 charge to kill the octopus holding Snappy the Seal and officially bank the egg. Once we bank that egg, the doors through this level are permanently open, so we don't have to worry about backtracking. While we're here, I also decided to grab 3 more eggs from the lake and from Sheila's section. I didn't do the submarine mission though, because I forgot about it. There is 1 egg in this level that is absolutely impossible though. This tunnel has a strong current that propels Spyro forwards, but it also automatically puts him in the charging state. Thankfully, this egg is completely optional. Now that we have all 5 talisman eggs from Sunrise Spring, we can finally fly off to Buzz's dungeon. This boss fight is essentially a sumo match with both parties trying to get a ring out. While you can push Buzz back with the head bash, you can only do so while he's idle. By the time you catch up to him for a second head bash, he's already started his own charge attack. Eventually though, I came up with a solution. Stand at the edge of the arena when he charges towards you, then jump off and glide back on at the last second. This will cause Buzz to end the charge at the end of the arena, letting you quickly head bash him into the lava and officially damage him. Repeat until he dies to officially enter Midday Gardens. This also lets us do the first Sparks level, Crawdad Farm, but we can do literally nothing here. Before playing the level proper, we have to do the Sparks tutorial, which includes using Sparks' charge to catch this blue crab. No matter how much we shoot it or fly up to its face, the crab refuses to respond. Not only does this make Crawdad Farm itself impossible, but also the other 3 Sparks levels, which are unlocked in a linear order. Which means we won't be getting any health or gem grab upgrades in this run. Midday Gardens itself contains a Super Flame power-up, which allows Spyro to shoot projectiles that can destroy any jar, even underwater. I was hopeful it would let me dispatch the Egg Thief here too, but the colorblind programmer at Toys for Bob was 1 step ahead of me. The Thief despawns completely while the Super Flame is active, meaning we can only take him out with vanilla Spyro. Thankfully, if we glide over from the Sergeant Bird's base portal, we can just barely catch him in time, allowing a 100% clear of Midday Gardens. While we're here, we should also try to unlock Sergeant James Bird, not to be confused with my cousin, James Bird. Most of the level is simple, but shortly after the first egg is a door triggered by 2 simultaneous pressure switches. The only way to push these switches is to carry weights onto them, but the only way to manually drop an item Sergeant Bird is carrying is to press the charge button. Keyword manually. If we fly above the switch while holding the weight, we can bait the nearby Rhinoc into throwing a flower pot at us. Sergeant Bird can't maintain a proper grip while taking damage, so the weight falls swiftly onto the first switch. The second one is much simpler, as the weight is released automatically when it makes contact with the switch if the other one is occupied. The rest of the level is easy, but I wasn't able to release all the caged hummingbirds, as one of them requires you to drop a bomb onto the floor. Completing Sergeant Bird's base also lets us go back to his area in Molten Crater to get 2 more eggs. All the Tiki heads are deposited automatically without needing to press the button. We can also use him to 100% Enchanted Tower, though you will still need Spyro for the head bash chests. Bamboo Terrace requires Bentley to do the sub area, so I pretty much just beelined for the Talisman Egg and called it a day. Spooky Swamp's only difficulties lie in the sub areas. You can win the mini-boss fight by head bashing the bombs after they land, though keep in mind it can sometimes just explode 3 inches away. The Firefly Twins eggs in Sheila's section aren't any harder than usual, but I wasn't able to destroy the mid-air walls with stomps to get the last few gems. It would technically be legal to just kick them with the attack button, but remember, I'm not doing that. Icy Peak has another sub-area that's essentially a supercharged racetrack. While we can't break the wall in this area without supercharging, we are able to reach this whirlwind that leads to an isolated platform. From here, we can glide down to the second egg thief and flame it before it has a chance to jump onto the track proper. The first thief is more challenging, but by using the same glide path, we can make it start running uphill and intercept it. Spike is a significantly easier boss than Buzz. The first 2 hits require some properly positioned head bashes to knock the ball into him, but once you reach phase 2, the rest of the fight plays out normally. It will still be harder to dodge Spike's attacks, but if you keep running to the left or right, his bullets will just barely scrape past. Evening Lake is mostly underwater, but the only thing that requires underwater charging is a single breakable wall with an egg behind it. Of course, I tried Bentley's outpost immediately, which presents a big roadblock. In order to reach the first egg, we must redirect one of Bartholomew's snowballs into the gong to make an icicle fall, and the only way to do that is to spin Bentley's club with the charge button. Of course, I tried jumping over there prematurely, but Bentley just can't seem to land on the other side. Even if we could get over there, the talisman egg is given to you by Bartholomew at the end of the level, requiring us to escort him. So we need 1 charge button press to hit the first gong, 3 more to take out the seals, and 1 more to hit the final gong. That's 5 charges for the whole level, putting us at 8 total. Lost Fleet has no issues with the main path, but the racetrack proved quite a challenge. The skateboard has a turbo booster, but it's activated with the charge button. You can still win the race by jumping at the edges of ramps to move faster and using missiles to slow the Rhinox down. But even then, a single wipeout is practically a death sentence, so don't bother with any fancy flippy tricks. The second race against Hunter, meanwhile, is just straight up impossible. We're required to kill every single crab, and one of them is on a shortcut that is impossible to reach without using the turbo boost. So we can only get 1 egg from this area. Charmed Ridge is an easy 100% clear, though the armored Rhinox were a bit more annoying to kill. They carry lances that have a tendency to intercept your head bashes, but it's not impossible. The Fireworks Factory requires Agent 9 to 100%, so we take our Talisman Egg from Greta and run. Frozen Altars replaces Spyro's Flame Breath with Ice Breath. It can't kill enemies directly, but it can freeze them and leave them wide open for a head bash. There are only 2 eggs we can't get here. The first is in the main part of the level and is at the end of a platforming course across the rooftops. We can reach the first egg in this section just fine, but the second requires a massive jump that we can't make with only a glide. In a normal playthrough, you'd extend your jump by charging into it, but we obviously can't do that. The other problem egg is in Bentley's section, which is the infamous boxing minigame. The charge button is used for a quick jab, which would have been our fastest attacking option. Without it, we have to use the slower hook and body blow attacks, which can easily be interrupted. I found success in the first match by hanging back a bit from the Yeti rather than hugging him up close. The second match, however, is a 3-round match, and he cornered me in round 1. It's probably possible in a Taz, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. Scorch is the easiest boss in the game, as he's inherently designed to only take damage from the rockets. Even the baby buses he can summon falls to them in seconds. We've now arrived at the final homeworld, Midnight Mountain. We don't need any specific eggs anymore, we just need 100 total. Obviously I beelined for Agent 9's lab, but while I was able to get the first 2 eggs, I couldn't get the third. The armored Rhinox are immune to Agent 9's blaster, only taking damage from bombs that can only be thrown with the charge button. Without killing these Rhinox, we can't reach the exit portal and thus can't unlock Agent 9 in any other level. Thankfully, we don't need him to get all the eggs from Crystal Islands or reach the exit in Desert Ruins. Our 100th egg came from the Manta Ray mission in the latter, and while it does have an illegal turbo boost, it is far from required. The Sorceress's attacks can be dodged just by moving normally, and we don't need to charge to operate any of the vehicles. With the Sorceress enjoying a relaxing lava bath and Hunter falling victim to the Plague of Love, the Spyro Year of the Dragon chargeless run ends with a score of 8 charges. But you know, that seemed a little anticlimactic, didn't it? I think we ought to tackle the true final boss.
Don't worry, Spyro. I won't be needing any more of your money. Now, don't look so surprised. I found one of the dragon eggs, and I'm going to sell it for a fortune back in Evelar. Uh-oh. Why are you looking at me like that? I've got to be going now. Toodles!
Moneybags is essentially an egg thief with a health bar, and the more gems you give him during the run, the more health he has. You'll never be able to outrun him, but we can still outsmart him. Get him running in an anti-clockwise loop, then glide around the left side of the bridge to just barely flame him on the corner. Repeat a couple dozen times, and we can finally give Moneybags a run for our money. If you're interested in watching the run, the original footage is available right now for my Patreon and YouTube members on all tiers. And finally, a very special thanks to all the talented devs at Toys for Bob, past and present. I wish you all the best in the next chapter of your careers as you move into indie development. And as for everyone else, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next challenge run. I promise this is gonna be a big one. That's all for now, and I will see you down under.